He took the reward and kept it. It was easier than he could have believed, and the ease of it was the whole of the punishment, though he did not understand that for a long time. He went inside. He slept eventually. He rose the next day and ferried the strait, and the day after that, and the deeds sank, as deeds do in a life with years left in it, down below the daily surface of weather and tides and the small bosons of an own man's living. And most days he did not think of her at all. That was the thing no one warns you about, the worst things you do, that you can survive them, that they do not eat you alive the way you fear, that a man can betray a woman to armed men on a Tuesday and be eating his supper with an ordinary appetite by Friday. The conscience is not a wall that falls. It is a tide that goes out, quietly, a little further each year, until you can walk dry across a place that used to be a sea. There was one night, early on, perhaps a month after, when it almost did not take. He woke in the black hours with her face vivid behind his eyes, the recognition in it, the way she had known him in the lamplight for exactly what he was, and he lay rigid and sweating, and thought that this, now, was the night the thing would finally come for him and tear him open the way he half wanted to be torn. He got up. He stood at his door in the dark with his hand on the latch, and out on the water the fog was thick, and he thought, I could go out. I could take the boat into the deep middle and let the strait do what it does. Let it bring her up out of the white and make me look at her and not stop looking, until something in me broke and became human again. The latch was cold under his hand. He stood there a long time. And then he did not lift it. He went back to his bed, because lifting the latch was the beginning of a road that led somewhere costly and uncertain, and not lifting it was the beginning of a road that led to morning and breakfast and the ordinary day. And he chose, as he had chosen on the jetty, the nearer, easier door. And that small refusal in the dark, witnessed by no one, was the true moment he became what he became, more than the betrayal itself had been. The betrayal had been a panic. This was a preference. After that, it got easier, the way everything gets easier with practice, even the murder of your own soul, which is a thing done not with one blow, but with 10,000 small declannings to lift a cold latch in the dark. The Margrave's marshal remembered him. That was the reward, and it came not as coin but as something worse, as belonging. The loyal old ferryman who had held the fugitive at his jetty became, in the small books of the small powers, a reliable man, and reliable men are used. They came to him again, over the years, not often but enough, when they wanted to know who had crossed, and who had asked to, when they wanted a quiet pair of eyes on the water, and a quiet mouth that could be trusted to say the right names to the right men. And Bevan gave them what they wanted, because the first time is the wall, and after the wall is down the rest is only weather. He told himself each time that it was nothing, a word, a nod, no blood on his own hands, and he became, word by word and nod by nod, exactly and fully the thing he had hated his whole life, the thing that had taken era, not the men with the swords, but the quiet local man who points, the hinge the cruelty turns on, the one without whom the swords would never find the door. And the strait, which had given him his daughter sorrowing for 22 years, gave him now a thing he could not have imagined was worse, which was nothing. Era stopped coming. He had thought, the few times he let himself think at all, that he would meet the woman and the child in the fog the way he met his daughter, and be haunted, and that the haunting would be a kind of company, even a kind of justice. But the fog does not haunt a man who no longer carries anything to surface. Somewhere in the years of small betrayals he had set down the last of what made him able to grieve, traded it away with everything else, and the deep middle of the strait, when he rode through it now, was only fog. Wet, gray, empty, ordinary fog, with no face in it at all. Not the woman's, not the child's, not, any longer, Era's. He had wanted once to be freed of meeting his dead. He got his wish. He had not understood that the dead come to you because you are still the kind of man they can reach, and that the day they stop coming is not the day you are forgiven, but the day there is no longer enough of you left for them to find. He lived a long time and died in his bed, which is the ending the world hands out, with cruel regularity, to exactly the men who least deserve it. The neighbors said he had been a quiet, harmless old fellow, a fixture of the jetty, no trouble to anyone. And they were right, and it was the worst thing that could truthfully be said of a human life, that he had been no trouble to anyone, that the power which fed on his neighbors had found in him no friction at all, only a smooth, reliable surface it could run across whenever it liked. He was buried by the strait. The fog rolled over his grave the way it rolled over everything, indifferent, and surfaced nothing, because there was nothing left in him by then for even that strange and merciful and terrible water to give back. And that absence, the boatmen might have said if they had known to say it, was the truest measure of what a man can lose on a single foggy night, when someone comes running and he decides, gently, reasonably, fatally, to be the gate.